meditation, please. Toward the one, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being, united with all the illuminated souls, who form the embodiment of the Master, the Spirit of guidance. Toward the one, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being, united with all the illuminated souls, who form the embodiment of the Master, the Spirit of guidance. Toward the one, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being, united with all the illuminated souls, who form the embodiment of the Master, the Spirit of guidance. Amen. Amen. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا the greatest knowledge of God is that.
Did we get to the end of that one?
I don't think we got quite
No.
that far.
Yeah, so that's a good place to start. greatest knowledge
Oh,
of God? Amongst us are those who are not knowing in their knowledge, saying the inability to grasp comprehension is itself comprehension. And amongst us are those who truly know and do not speak like this, and that is the highest speech. Rather, knowledge makes such a person silent and does not bestow inability. This person is the greatest knower of God, and this knowledge does not happen except for the seal of messengers and the seal of the saints. None of the prophets and messengers contemplate this knowledge except from the light niche of the messenger seal, and none of the saints contemplate it except from the light niche of the saint seal. So much so that none of the messengers can contemplate this when they see it, except from the light niche of the seal of the saints. For envoyship and prophethood, that is to say, the prophethood and envoyship of lawmaking, both come to an end, whereas sainthood never comes to an end. Thus the messengers, due to their being saints, do not contemplate what we have mentioned except from the light niche of the seal of the saints. And how then is it for those saints who are below them in rank? Even though the seal of the saints is subject to regulation due to the religious law which the seal of the messengers brings, that does not impair his station nor contradict what we believe about him. For in one respect he may be at a lower level, while in another respect he may be higher. The point of view which we have expounded here is corroborated by events that can be seen in our own religious way, where Umar's view regarding the prisoners at the Battle of Badr was preferred, and also concerning the pollination of the palm tree. It is not necessary for the perfect one to have precedence in everything and in every degree. The people of knowledge have in view only precedence in levels of knowledge of God. That is where their quest lies. As for happenings that take place in the world, their thoughts are not attached to them. So realize what we have mentioned. The wali, prophethood, sainthood, and seals. The prophet, may God bless him and give him peace, represented prophethood as a wall made of bricks, which was complete except for a space for one brick. And he himself was that brick. He only saw it, as he said, as one brick missing. As for the seal of the saints, he must also have such a vision, so that he sees what the messenger of God was represented as. But he sees in the wall the space for two bricks, one of gold and one of silver. Thus he sees two bricks that are missing from the wall and by which it is completed, a golden brick and a silver brick. He definitely sees himself fitting exactly into the place of the two bricks. Thus the seal of the saints is those two bricks and completes the wall. The reason why he has to see two bricks is that he follows the law revealed to the seal of the messengers in the exterior, which is the silver brick, and that is his exterior, and those legal regulations in which he follows him, while on the other hand he takes directly from God in his interior mystery what he follows from him in the outward form, because he sees the order as it really is. Certainly he sees it this way, that being the golden brick in the interior. Thus he takes his knowledge from the same mine as the angel Gabriel took from when he brought inspiration to the prophet. If you understand what I have alluded to, then you have achieved truly beneficial knowledge. Every single prophet from the time of Adam to the last prophet only took from the light niche of the seal of the prophets, even though his earthly existence was delayed, in his reality he was existent. And that is, as he said, I am a prophet while Adam was between water and earth. All the prophets other than he did not become prophets until they were sent. In the same way, the seal of the saints is a saint while Adam was between water and earth. And all the saints other than he do not become saints until they have attained the conditions of sainthood from among the divine characteristics, by being qualified then due to God the Exalted being named the close friend, al-Wali, the ever-praised, al-Hamid. The seal of the envoys in respect of his sainthood is related to the seal of sainthood in the same way that the prophets and envoys are related to him, for he is saint, envoy, and prophet. The seal of the saints is the saint heir, the one who takes directly from the origin and is witness to all the degrees. He is one of the benefactions, Hasana, of the seal of the envoys. Muhammad, may the blessing of God and peace be upon him, foremost of the community and Lord of the children of Adam in opening the door of intercession. Thus he specified as a special condition what is general to all. In this special situation, he is at the head of the divine names. The all-compassionate Rahman does not intercede with the avenger, Muntaqim, for the people of trial and tribulation until all the intercessors have interceded. And Muhammad, may the blessing of God and peace be upon him, triumphs by virtue of dominion in this special station. Whoever understands the spiritual degrees and stations will not find it difficult to accept such words.
understand the very first paragraph, the couple of paragraphs we started reading out tonight, that none of the prophets and messengers contemplate this knowledge except from the Mishkat, the messenger seal. So the messenger seal meaning the line of prophecy, right? And that none of the saints contemplate it, meaning the knowledge, from the likeness of the saint seal. And the saint seal is Jesus, peace be upon him? I'm not quite sure.
Well, I had always thought so. I had always thought that in this he was referring to Muhammad as the seal of the messengers, and Jesus is the seal of the saints. But when we were reading it just now, it seemed to me that he was talking about Muhammad in his two aspects.
Right.
That his exterior, he's the seal of the messengers, and in his interior, he's the seal of the saints.
And that the one has a termination and the other is interminable.
So I'm pretty sure that Burkhart sees that one is Muhammad and one is Jesus. But I think it seems like in this translation he's indicating that both of them are Muhammad.
That feels right. I just wasn't sure.
And that, in a way, that would make sense because it is both, really, if you think about it. Because there's only one sainthood seal and there's only one messenger seal. So if Muhammad was a messenger and took part in also in the sainthood seal in his interior, that's the same sainthood as Jesus was the seal of the saints on his, maybe in his exterior. Something like that. But then also doesn't Arabi and other places call Muhammad the seal of the Mohammedan saints? So maybe he's just...
He calls himself
the seal.
The seal of the Mohammedan saints.
Oh, Ibn Arabi is the seal of
yeah.
Mohammedan saints.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
So you're saying the seal would refer to an individual more so than, like, because I kind of read it the way that you originally had spoken about it, that the light niche of the messenger would be the light of prophethood, or the message of prophethood. So I kind of almost interpret that to be the light of prophethood from an external point and an internal point, but it's more relating to individual. Is that to Muhammad is?
What does individual mean?
Yeah, I guess that's my question is.
I think maybe first if you would clarify the Hatam, the seal, the Hatam and Nabiya, and the Hatam al-Awliya represent like the pinnacle, the culmination of, and I'll say that expression, and I'm trying to find a word that's neutral enough, but also because, well, I shouldn't say because, I don't know. When the final revelation was given to humanity, and was given through the messenger, the prophet, he declared, this is the end of the line. I am the end of that line. So he is the seal of the prophet.
The seal, okay.
So that refers directly, like you're saying, an individual, but it's referring to not only the individual, but I think also to the principle. Right.
The whole idea of the prophethood is sealed at that messenger. And
that he is the last of the prophets. Jesus.
First.
He's the first the first and the last, exactly,
First and
because he
last.
was the prophet while Adam was between water
Right,
and clay.
right.
So that's why also principle. And then the seal of the saints refers to Jesus, peace be upon him, who was, but Jesus was also a messenger, right? Came to give a message to humanity. So I think that's where I started to get a little confused. Like, was he talking about those two seals, or was he talking about the prophet alayhi salam in those dual aspects? And I think you clarified that.
Yeah, I mean the seal is both something that closes in a way, because you put a seal on a letter to close it up, so that nobody can read it. But it's also like he refers to it elsewhere as like the font, or the fountainhead, or something. I mean, it's where everybody else drinks from. So and so it's like all the prophets receive that from the overflowing of this reality of prophethood. Same as the saints, or this reality of sainthood. At that point, the individual and the principle and the reality are the same thing. So to talk about it in terms of Muhammad is both to say, he is that who imbibes from the source and from whom everybody else imbibes, and he is at the level of the principle of prophethood and sainthood because of his perfect closeness. And whereas we talk about principles and things as kind of abstract concepts, the reality is not abstract at all. We're sort of the abstract concepts.
That makes more sense to me. Thinking of this as interior and exterior.
Yeah, it's different from how I had thought about this previously.
section down where it says, the point of view with which we expounded here is corroborated by events that can be seen in our own religious way, where regarding the prisoners of some other decisions were made that may have been better than the decision that Muhammad had made at the time. And I like this as it's not necessary for the perfect one to have precedence in everything and in every degree. And we've read through this so many times, and it's never really caught me quite the way that it did just now reading it, because it's just the point that whenever we look at any ideal of perfection or in a person that's, you know, a guide, or we look up to some ideal of perfection or that kind of thing, we never see any room for mistake, or don't want to see room for mistake or that kind of thing, and we impose all that, like project all that on that person, you know, that perfection, and it's always nice to know that even someone at a God perfected level has, you know, still human imperfections, or
Can't fry an egg.
yeah.
Can't make a perfect omelet.
I used to think that when I was, you know, younger and had, like, you know, idolized guitar players, and I'd go see them live, and then they'd make a mistake, and I go, oh, they make mistakes too, cool. Thought they always played perfect.
There's this extraordinary story that Ibn Arabi tells in the Sufis of Andalusia, where he's in the mosque and he's praying, and he meets this boy who's 11 years old, who he recognizes immediately as having a very, very high station. And Ibn Arabi himself had just recently had revealed to him some very special knowledge, and so he greeted the boy, and he gave a sign to him to let him know that he had, you know, that he knew who he was, and that he himself had received this knowledge. And the boy turned to him and said, greeted him and said, "Be diligent and be mindful for what you are created." and then he sort of left and disappeared, and never saw him again. And he said at the end, some of the masters are young and some of them are old. And, you know, it was kind of a sort of humbling moment, even for somebody of his level.
Kind of sounds like he is talking, you know, as far as like where he says the start. In other words, he points to the fact that it's not personable when he says, thus he takes his knowledge from the same mind as the angel Gabriel took from took from when he brought inspiration to the prophet. So if he was the same as the prophet, thus he takes his knowledge from the same mind as the angel Gabriel took when he brought inspiration to the prophet. So that would mean that, usually that would imply that the he that they're talking about is someone different than the prophet as a person. And I think what you said is what it points to is the niche, because the saints only take from the niche of sainthood, and the prophets only take from the niche of prophethood. But in the case of Muhammad, he was the culmination of prophethood, and also in his interior taking from the niche of saint, from the perfect niche of sainthood, which didn't necessarily mean that Muhammad was the personal seal of the saints, but even if Jesus was the seal of the saints, Muhammad and Jesus are both taking from the same niche. And if Muhammad was before Adam as a prophet, and if Jesus was before Adam as a saint, then that's just appropriating the personal manifestation of the culmination of the highest form of those two niches. So. Remember, what's the difference between prophethood and envoy? Prophet is law giving.
Yeah, I mean, an envoy carries a message. He's somebody who is sent.
It's kind of like a messenger.
Yes. And the prophet is somebody who brings the law.
So is envoyship a separate? They don't talk about envoyship as being anything separate. It's just the two niches are sainthood and prophethood, and envoyship is just could be taken from either one of those or combination.
Well, he does say. Says none of the prophets and messengers contemplate this knowledge except from the light niche of the messenger's seal. For envoyship and prophethood, that is to say, the prophethood and envoyship of lawmaking both come to an end. So he doesn't make a really big distinction here, but in other places he does.
Between prophethood and
envoyship and messengers. But I think the main distinction he's trying to make here is between this very pivotal role of prophethood, which is the bringing down of a revelation directly from God, but it's an external function, and the sainthood, which is an eternal function, or
Right, that's what
eternal
he's-
state.
He said prophethood comes to an end, but sainthood never comes to an end.
But the prophethood is you have to be a saint to be a prophet.
Prophet, yeah.
And the saints who have the prophethood are superior to the ones.
Right, not all saints are
Right.
prophethood.
Now, Jesus would be considered a prophet and a saint, would he not?
Who?
Jesus?
Yes.
And I guess from my understanding, I'm very ignorant when it comes to Muhammad in a lot of aspects, so this has all been very enriching for me. But because of the divine revelation and the way that prophecy came to him, it seems like in some way, I don't know where, but in some places he's ranked a little higher than Jesus in terms of his station. Is that a correct assumption, or would they be almost equal in nature?
I mean,
but
I think he's saying here that sometimes higher, sometimes lower. Because if you do see Jesus as the seal of the saints, which is possible, that's what he's saying, is that Jesus would take his prophethood from Muhammad, from the prophet, and Muhammad would take his sainthood from Jesus. And so that's why he says it, for one respect he may be at a lower level, while in another respect he may be higher. He leaves it ambiguous, I think, as to exactly who is the seal of the saints. And but certainly in some respects they're seen as equals, in some respects not. One is higher, one is lower. Depends on the point of view and what aspect you're looking at.
And Jesus said himself that he was before, that he existed before, almost the same thing, almost the same words, that he existed before Adam.
Well, I think he said, and it says in the note, that before Abraham was, I am.
Oh, is that what Jesus said?
Yeah. Which is interesting. I mean, it's a very interesting structure to that sentence. Before Abraham was, I am. It's that sense of that continuity, that eternal aspect. It's not a
And Abraham,
temporal thing.
that was what Abraham called God, was I am, right?
Well, that's true.
When he asked him his name, he said, I
Yeah.
am that I am.
Is that Abraham or Moses? That was
Moses.
Abraham.
Who was it?
I thought it was Moses.
Moses.
but-
Moses.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Where does Ibn Arabi himself fit into this? Because I know that there were certain times where he alluded, or maybe explicitly said, that he himself had that sort of role as well.
Well, I think he even says it in this, gets to it in this chapter, I think. He refers to himself, he received this revelation that he was the seal of Muhammadan sainthood. So he's very much in that tradition. He is the heir of the Prophet, and he says that the Prophet, by virtue of his role as Prophet, which is so by definition an external function, was not able to reveal all of the interior knowledge that he had, and that Ibn Arabi is the one who revealed the interior knowledge of the Prophet. So he was the knowledge that Ibn Arabi is giving us is directly from the Prophet. that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Excuse me, Johnny. But then didn't Ibn Arabi also said that his first teacher was Jesus?
yes,
Mm-hmm.
he was taught by Moses and Jesus, and but he had a very special, close relationship with Jesus. And,
Does he speak about that in a lot of his writings or some of his writings?
oh yeah,
Mhm.
he talks about it. He talks about it some, I think, in the chapter on Jesus, and some in the Footer Hut. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, I think he talks about the seal of Mohammedan sainthood in this chapter, I think.
I noticed here on the little footnote 26 on that page where just grammatically this is him can refer to either the seal of the saints or the seal of the envoys. Al-Basnavi prefers to take it in the former meaning as the spirit of Muhammad, which is the pole, and extends to all prophets, envoys, and saints. The pole.
Getting back to the thing about Jesus and Muhammad, Jesus is unique in the sense that because his father was Gabriel, so to speak, by the blowing of the breath, so that he was part, his nature was part spirit, part human. And Muhammad was completely human, and as such is, the model for all humans.
For insan.
Because he is totally and completely human, and shows what the possibility of humanity is, and that, and he actually makes a nice note here about he's that benchmark that you can measure yourself against to see how close you are to being human.
And that would be both exterior and interior. And Ibn Arabi was the one who made so much of the interior knowledge that brought it to, explained it.
doesn't happen until all the intercessions of all the intercessors have occurred. Does he specify?
Well, I think that's part of the function of the seal, right?
Mm.
It's the one who draws it to a close.
Uh-huh.
So, and quite what close means in this concept, context, I don't know, but I mean I think that's the sense of the intercession that comes after all the intercessors and all the interceding has taken place, is then he can give the last word and be the last one to pray for mercy and compassion on the ones who still need intercession.
And in that respect, the intercessor comes by the name of Rahman, correct? I mean, is that what you understand? That I'm hearing in my mind the multiple times in the Quran where it says and my Rahmah supersedes everything, so that no matter what had preceded of intercessors and interceding, that my Rahmah covers everything. So my question is there a correlation? I think that's what I was reading, the correlation between intercession. So thus he specified as a special condition what is general to all. In this special condition, in this special situation, he is the head of the divine names, the head of the divine names, the all-compassionate Rahman, does not intercede with the avenger for the people of trial and tribulation until all the intercessors have interceded. And Muhammad alayhi salam, may the blessing of Allah be with him, triumphs by virtue of dominion in this special station. Whoever understands the spiritual degrees and stations will not find it difficult to accept these words, such words. If I leave aside the temporal envoy and return to I was a prophet, right? The Nuri Muhammad, the preceding, anteceding, everything, then is that, I don't want to say, you can't say the same as. That's where I'm stuck.
Well, I think because of who he is and where he's situated as at the level of the all-compassionate, and because of being the seal, he and as he says, Lord of the children of Adam, he says he opens the door of intercession, and he's also the seal in that he's the last one as well. So no intercession is even possible without him. And all of the intercessors who are pleading for mercy on all the sinners and all the ones requiring who come under the gaze of the avenger, because at the level of the all-compassionate, which is the allowing things to be exactly as they are, so this whole process has to go through, and there's those who are interceding, and there's the role of the muntakim to do what he has to do, and but at the end of it all, not temporarily, but is the all compassionate who's at the beginning and the end, who has the last word and is the one who guarantees the compassion for all, that because his mercy is above his wrath. And so I think it's just emphasizing his position as being the one through whom everything comes into being, and who both opens the door for things to come through and seals it by being at the beginning and the end. There's nothing outside of his influence, because God said, if not for you, I would not have created the universes. He's the total reality. So
I was hearing those words this morning. He's continuing, if not for you, not for you, not for you. Laylat al-Miraj, the night journey, was just celebrated, and I thought about that, the Miraj, the ascension, and also that Ibn Arabi had a similar Miraj experience.
So I think Ibn Arabi somewhere prays that he not be allowed to paradise or to God's presence until all the people of hell had been forgiven and allowed into heaven. I can't remember exactly how he put it, but there are some very powerful intercessors who are praying continuously that that all the miserable sinners be forgiven, and and I think the point here is that Muhammad is the beginning and the end of all of this. He opens the door of intercession, and he is the last to intercede when everything else is.
This comes back to the quality of knowledge, right? There's the ones who don't know, but this final line is making a little bit more sense. Whoever understands the spiritual degrees and stations will not find it difficult to accept such words, but you have to understand. Otherwise, it's like a big argument in your head, or could be an argument in your mind, or with others.
So I think when you think about the reality of these temporal terms of the opening and the closing, I think it's just a way of saying that whatever you do, the intercession and the mercy that's given is you cannot go beyond the reality of Muhammad, that it's all contained within that. It's not it's not that there is a point in time when the door opens and the door closes.
And that's both the personal historical person and the nur, right? The light, the universal light of that person, right? Both are included or assumed in that? I think for Ibn Arabi.
Yes, the reality of the individual in its physical manifestation is a temporal thing, but the reality is an eternal thing. The physical appearance at a particular time and place is necessitated by the demands of that particular, the conditions that were prevailing and what was needed. But the reality of it is of prophethood and of the reality of Muhammad is, of course, eternal.
And that includes all the prophet, all prophets, all everything.
Except that he is the seal.
Right. And do you think as far as prophethood is concerned, it's the Quran is the actual message? I mean, it's not, to me, the exterior of Muhammad is that he gave the message. I mean, he was obviously, it said that he didn't have to be perfect in like knowing how to grow dates or knowing how, what choices to make in this given situation or that given situation. So we're not really talking about his personality. We're talking about the exterior reality, which is prophethood, and the interior reality, which is sainthood. So
I think somewhere Ibn Arabi refers to the Quran as Muhammad's twin brother.
His twin brother.
Interesting.
And if you, read some of the things that Ibn Arabi says about the Quran, you realise it is not just a bunch of words in a book. It's something much more alive and real. So I think in a way you probably could say they are one and the same, but different aspects of a single manifestation.
yeah. But all I'm trying to dissuade is the ideas that come with, if you want to copy Muhammad, he was the perfect human, so you have to have your beard 10 inches long.
Yeah,
That kind of
that's
stuff.
right.
All the
It's very silly.
exoteric kind of
Yeah.
about Muhammad's personality. And when they talk about Muhammad, it doesn't necessarily, it wasn't that he was a perfect person, perfect, he was human, that was it, humans are humans.
It's just
We're all
it's
humans.
not possible.
But where he was perfect was in his prophethood, that was the exterior, that was
just the fact that it's not possible for women to grow beards like Muhammad is
Yeah,
is
I tried.
evidence.
yeah, and then people get into so much of that, like, how Muhammad behaved in this situations and stuff like that. But just because your question reminded me of that, people who say that Muhammad was the perfect human, so we should copy what he did as a human, as a
Right, we should be riding camels.
yeah, right.
But, let's just say as a starting point, that if, pick one thing, honesty in one's word. Let's say, just pick one section and to try to observe that as closely as possible, and then drawing the example of the Prophet alayhi salam, who, the stories speak of how he was called the trustworthy.
Right. He was a beautiful life.
Because of this excellence of fidelity to his word.
Yeah.
Then even if you just took that one little thing, one little example and tried to live by that the perfecting of that would extend and spill over into all aspects of one's being. It can't just be isolated over here, like as you're saying, okay, externally I present myself in this model, in this mold that is like a replica, therefore that my exterior is perfectly identical to the external appearance of someone. Well, I'm a visual image of that. But if the inside isn't commensurate with that, then the external is just, what use is that? Something about, well, here's a clue for me that I've been contemplating a little bit this past week, that we say Ashhadu an Muhammad abduhu, the servant, abduhu wa rasulullah. So the perfect servant. So then, just contemplate what could that be? To be the perfect servant, who was and Rasul, right, and Nabi and Habib. What is that? What is that station of receiving whatever may come, whatever condition befalls one, and to bow before that, to relinquish any I around it? What if we worked on perfecting that? I think that if we were engaged, maybe just better if I speak personally, if I were engaged in that kind of attention, then I really wouldn't have time to be arguing about anything else, because I've got my work that's taking all of my attention and energy. Right. One of the things I like about this phrase, when we say definition of a Sufi, there's so many of them. There's one that says that a Sufi is a person who minds their own business. Sometimes when I say that, people laugh. It's ha ha. Then the question is, well, what is the Sufi's business? What is that business? It's my receiving, not being distracted, not being blinded to the fact that all things come from the same and only source. So that when we use words like the perfect human and this, then we put up more veils in front of us, I think.
Right, it goes both ways, because by thinking that way you block, you're not, what you say. When you said it, it was like coming from the other side of it, where it was an opening to that. So instead of having anything about the personality of Muhammad be something that was something to stumble over, it would just be an opening to that reality.
Inshallah. Inshallah. Give us the names. How are we doing?
It's 9:25.
A short section? Sometimes it doesn't matter if it's 4 paragraphs. We're here all night for 4 paragraphs.
We should be able to tackle the first sentence.
One time I was teaching and I was on fire. I wanted to read Ibn Arabi, and so I pulled out my Ibn Arabi with this group I'm working with, and I read the first 2 or 3 lines and I look at the group, it's like blank. Okay, this is not going to fly. Put that aside and go pick up something else. But as you like, however you like to proceed.
Yeah, I don't want to go too late tonight.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. But we can read a little more.
No, Fatima?
I have to get up and catch a bus at 9 in the morning.
All right.
Let's call it a night.
It's good for everyone?
Sure.
As I mentioned last time. I will miss the next one.
Only one?
Just one. And so so the next one would be so June the 4th. I'll miss that one, but I'll be here for the one.
You're
on
gone
the
on
8th.
June the 4th too, Tusky.
And June the 4th, I'm in Colorado. June the 11th? Are you back?
No, I'm back. I'll be back on the 14th, so I'll be here for the one on the 18th.
No particular.
I'll be back on June the 4th. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to be doing. I mean, what my situation will be like, because there's a tour for 56 children, and Lois is not going to be in town, and so
You might have to do that.
I am going to
You're going to do that.
I'm just not sure what it's going to do to me.
Well, it's up to y'all.
I say we cancel the 4th
And wait and resume on the 18th.
and then set another date sometime in the future. At least when you're here, Tusky.
You'll be here on the 18th.
I'll be here on the 18th.
I think we should just resume on the 18th, and then it'll work for everyone for sure.
All right. Then, the 18th.
Okay.
All right. Such a long time, but plenty to read in between.
Is this same section? Could I find this in the Burkhardt? Well, because I have that one, I think, at home. Or
Yes, and it would be interesting to compare it.
I'll send you the file.
Oh, thank
And
you.
you can print out a
I'll
copy.
look at that then too.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'll send you Adam as well, because we've gone through Adam in a new translation. We already went through that.
Oh,
And Seth, I can send him both of those.
okay.
I would like a copy of Adam too.
Adam?
You didn't get one?
I may have it in an old email, but I went back and looked for it, and I don't think I have it. So.
I happened to just forward to myself those files, because they were way down back in February something, so now it's right at the top of my email stack, and I'll send those out to you. Close with a spoken Fatiha and the Hatum, and then the salutations. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم hidden in our souls, that we may know and understand life better. Most merciful and compassionate God, the idealized Lord of the whole most merciful and compassionate God, give us thy great goodness. Teach us thy loving forgiveness. Raise us above the distinctions and differences which divide us. Send us the peace of thy divine Spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
There is a concert opportunity that I think it would be great if we all went together. It's the You've All Run Ensemble is going to play it at the Skirball at on August 20th.
Oh. The summertime concert.
It's for free, but of course you have to get there.
Park there.
That would be fun if we all went together.
Yeah. I can hear them to
Definitely.
see Baba Z's.
I spoke with him the other day
Uh-huh.
after the concert, and he was gone. I sent him an email because we were talking, and I just told him I really enjoyed the concert. If you ever need a guitar player for any of these shows coming up, let me know. So we're actually going to have a jam session in June and try to work a duet together. So I don't know that it'll be that show.
So,
Yeah.
would you be willing to rehearse with us a little bit, and maybe if you're available in July?
Yeah, I
Did
just
you
need to confirm my schedule. I'll let you know maybe the next day, inshallah. So
July.
yeah, that would be great. Though I really enjoy that, and I still have the notes I made. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So get you two guys and
guitar before. That's what I was doing before. Right? If you need someone to do a little drum or anything else, I can do that too.
Yeah.
So
hopefully you're free that day. It's going to be the convention center,
okay, okay, I'll double check and let you know.
the Moksha Fest.
Okay.
It's Saturday, July 11th
Mm-hmm.
at like 4:30.
Yeah, I should be free. I think it's like
I won't be there because I'll be at the reunion for my family, July 11th.
Do you have some time in this next week that we could?
Yeah, I'm going to Phoenix for the weekend. I'll be back on Tuesday, and then yeah, my
Next week.
schedule's pretty wide open after that.
All right. Work on some music. And I don't know if you guys, do you remember Amy Cat Fox? Amy Cat Fox?
Oh yeah, of course.
I'm going to be performing her marriage,
Oh,
her marriage ceremony on the following day,
Okay.
July 12th. She's a bee girl.
Yeah.
Who knows what
Name is Cat Fox.
Cat Fox.
Seems like B-girl name.
What a great name.
Yeah.
It's like dancers. They do that sort of
Yeah,
hip hop
B-boys.
dance.
Amazing
B-boy dancers?
Like
break dancers.
Yeah, like break dancing kind of. They move around. It's pretty amazing. They flip around and
Oh yeah.
somersaults and all
And
I
she
was a
does
b-boy when I
capoeira
was-
as well, so
Really young.
She put in some crew. I forgot what they called themselves. But
I had the whole plastic suit and the cardboard
Nice.
and the driveway.
it's awesome. Popping and locking too.
Every guy with a bucket and
Back when it was
two drumsticks.
LL Cool J and Grandmaster Flash and all that.
nice shirt by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
This is a band the heavy metal band I like called Opeth, and then they made these
Oh.
shirts in Urdu, or however you say it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I have to.
They're Swedish, right?
Yeah.
They're Swedish. Yeah. Very cool.
You guys are so hip, I don't know what you're talking about.
So see, that last thing we said, that was the one I don't know.
Oh, assalamu alaikum, rahmatullah, wa barakatullah.
That's the one I don't know.
You can write it out.
Yeah. What's that called?
I just refer to it as salutations. Is there a formal,
Salutation.
you know,
Anyway, that's the one I always gets. That's the one I was.
we say it all the time.
I didn't think it was Iklas because I read over Iklas, although I don't know that one very well, but it did sound like it.
At the end of salat, praying, you turn to the right, you say assalamu alaikum.
Okay. That's why I don't know it.
And there's so many different interpretations or perspectives, you know, greeting the angels to your right and the angels to your left, greeting, salam to the past and salam to the future. It's coming and going.
There's some really good cherries in there and some cookies if anybody wants to.